Hello everyone and welcome to Great Deltan. Today is a layout update for spring 2021. A majority of the work that I've done over the last couple of months has been on the station area, which is now complete. Well, the platforms anyway. I'll be moving along next up to the building and then to the road and the car park. Among this job there has been some other little things that I've been doing which I'll talk about with stock and odd jobs around the layout. There are also a couple of issues I need to address, but other than that things are moving forward. In April I am due to have another child, so things might drag on a little bit from there as I'll obviously be very busy, but hopefully we'll still make a fair bit of progress this year and get to where I want to. Before I move on, I would just like to quickly mention a Facebook group that me and Nick from Rule 1 Model Railways run, which is actually called Rule 1 Model Railways. The Facebook group is just a group for people to discuss, post, share the model railways, ask for advice and discuss all things train mattered. I'll leave a link in the description and hopefully you'll pop along and join that. Me and Nick like to think that we're a little less moderated than other train groups on Facebook, so you can sort of have a bit more freedom with what you'd like to post. Doesn't have to be necessarily model railway related. After a full evaluation of everything in the shed after the flood, the only thing that I think I found that was damaged was my belt sander, which was spitting out a load of black liquid when I came to use it, and my circular saw. In terms of the layout, all the stock was okay, however due to the amount of water that I had in the shed, it did increase the moisture content of the air, and I think that's created quite a damp problem. It's warped a lot of the card on some of the other buildings as well. It's also warped some of the cardboard for the back scene. That's actually split there. I don't know if you can see that, it's tilted downwards. That was a lot more raised than that. And right where it's split, it's pushed that bit of retaining wall out a bit. But I think I got to lightly considered what could have been happening if the layout was lower or if the water was higher. So, as said in the introduction, I have finished the first part of the station, which is the canopies and the platform details. I'll next be moving up to here. In preparation for that, I've already done some of the brick wall which is going to surround this top section, and I've drawn out the details of where everything is going to go. All covered in stuff at the minute, but you'll see that in the next part of the station video. But you can see how the road comes along the front of it, and then we'll follow this all the way around to this cutout for the town scene. I believe last time you joined me on a layout update was in November when I was still using my Hornby Select. Since then I have invested in the DR5000, which is a nice bit of kit. I'm getting used to not using it with a hand wheel, because obviously I'm just controlling it from my iPad at the minute. But it's getting there and I'm sort of figuring out a lot of the features that come along with it, but it's much better than what I was using before. I've also got a programming track now, which I didn't have before, which is nice. I've also made a couple of improvements to how I now keep my stock. Before, everything was in this drawer and it was crowded and on top of each other, and I don't know if anything got damaged, but it was not the best way to keep it, so I've now spread it across two drawers. I've moved the majority into this left hand drawer, as that one is obscured by the baseboard a bit, so it's difficult to reach under, and I've added this shelf as well so I can keep things on two levels, so there's things under there as well, which is what I need considering the amount of stock that I have recently acquired and yet to acquire this year. Something that I've recently done, I think it was either just after Christmas or just before, is the completion of the town scene lighting. As I did say in the town scene video, this entire corner section lifts out, so I was able to take it into the living room, do all the wiring and soldering in there so I don't have to get under the layout, and then I just dropped it in and soldered two supply wires to the whole thing. It looks a lot better than it did before. I'll just show you how it looks in the dark. So yeah. The cars are all from Layouts for You. I think a majority of the other lights are for Layouts for You as well. The ones on the side of the building are all from Kite's lights, which I did get a few from, but it just brings the whole area to life and allows me to get some nice nighttime photographs as well. Something you may have noticed if you follow the Facebook group is the addition of some internal lighting. I have completed it on the Class 156 and both Class 153s that I have, and I'm currently in the process of doing the Pretendolino. At the minute, 7 of these coaches have light bars, however only 2 have capacitors, and I do quite like them because the flickering does get a bit annoying. So I need to install the capacitors, and then I've got one more coach to install a light bar on. After that we'll have a look at some more stock getting done. I put one in the DVT as well. Not sure how prototypical that is, but I know that the guards compartment has lights in it, so I might just reduce the length of the light bar a bit to reduce the overall lighting in there. But internal lighting really does add a lot to the trains, and when it's in the dark it looks a lot better. Somebody on the Facebook or YouTube recently asked me if I had considered putting in catenary for overhead line electrification. It's something I've been looking into. If I did it, I would probably only do the masts, as I still need to get to the track, as I manually clean the track with an abrasive rubber. So if I put all the wiring in, it'd have to be removable, and I think that would be quite difficult to achieve. So I'd probably just put the masts and gantries in. It's something I'm looking into doing this year, if not next year. I'll start off with this area here, and then if I like the look of it and decide to go further, I shall do the rest of the layout. The non-addition of the wires between the masts will be helpful, which means I won't have to adjust too many things like the signal gantry or the canopies that I've recently completed. Hopefully it should look fairly modern and still good without the wires in, but we'll see. As I've recently acquired, well, I've always had quite a few EMUs and electric locomotives, so may as well look a bit more prototypical with the actual wires to feed them, rather than just have a diesel line. Now, on to a slightly darker point. There are a few pressing issues which I have with the layout. Being in a metal shed, it's obviously very open to the elements, and it has started to affect a number of characteristics of the layout. First of all, these back seams are obviously warped and bent, so they're pushing over, starting to pop things out. I'm actually having to offset the building quite away from the back seam over here so it doesn't push over. Another thing which I have an issue with is the actual cabinets of which this side of the layout is on. One of the legs down there has collapsed and it's actually resting on this cupboard door, so I'm not sure how long that will support for before it starts to get worse, but we'll see. Another thing I have found is that the outer and the inner tracks both have 2 dead points in that tunnel, which I can't access to solder or add dropper wires to. Which means if I want to run them, I'm likely going to have to rip that up. I'm not particularly happy with that area of the layout anyway, but it's something that I'm going to have to do if I actually want to run the trains. The Pendolino is okay because it's got dual pickups, but that's the only one at the minute. So that was a bit of a bummer to find, which means I might have to redo quite a lot of this area, really. It's not the most satisfying news I've found out today. We'll see how things go at the minute, but it's looking like I'm not going to be able to find any other way to get the power to the curve in there, which is dead. I'm guessing that the fish plates have just deteriorated and they are no longer carrying any current on 1 or 2 tracks. So yes, we'll just see what happens there. If you've seen one of my most recent videos, you'll know that I've fitted sound to a Class 221 Voyager in cross country. This was merely a test to see how well I like the sound that comes out of it, and to see how hard it was to fit it. I probably won't do any more sound conversions for a while, as they are very, very expensive, and I'd rather spend the money on getting the layout finished or repaired. But overall, I don't mind it. It's a bit tinny coming out of an N-gauge speaker, as opposed to 00 gauge, which I have heard before, and its sound quality is somewhat better. Unless it's just the sound files I'm using, I will do another test with Lego Man Biffo. But yes, there will be plans for DCC sound for a lot of other locomotives eventually, as I do quite like running them. So once the station area and that entire third of the layout is completed, the only thing I have left to do is fill this area with something. Originally there were sidings here for EMU storage, and then there was sidings coming down here for what I plan to have some sort of TMD. However, I realised that I'm not really into shunting or small vehicle movements, so I just decided to put the through line for the branch and then have this area for scenic interest. So some of the ideas I've had is to have this entire section raised, which would connect that road to that road, and have a retaining wall this side, and then the branch line would run through it as a tunnel. That's quite a nice idea because it allows me to connect the roads together, and then I have this entire flat space for something really big scenically, but obviously it does obscure the view of the trains quite a lot. I won't be able to get as many good camera angles. So that's one of the ideas. Another idea is just to have it flat and put some, I don't know, some sort of industrial area here. And then I've got a couple of ideas for some nice scratch builds as well. And then the other idea was to actually extend the branch line, redirect it out onto here, which is another idea which I think I might do if I have to rip up that corner completely. So that's what I've got in mind for this area, but that will be definitely later this year or probably next year at this point, considering how much work I might have to do with ripping up that corner to fix the track over there. So we'll see. That's it for the actual layout really. The next part I'm just going to talk about some of the new stock which I've acquired over the last few months. So if you don't want to hear me talk about that, then skip to the end where there's some running shots of the layout. But I'll try and get through this as quickly as possible. I won't go into too much detail on each piece, otherwise I'd be here all day. So firstly are the 7 Mark IIs by Graham Farish in Virgin Trains livery. When they come, they are quite basic, they don't even include interiors. So what I've done is I've painted up some interiors from BR lines, and then I've installed those. I've weathered the coaches a bit and put some details on the axle boxes, so they look a fair bit better now. The only problem I'm having is the roofs don't quite sit right with the interiors, so I might have to glue those on. But overall, quite happy with these. I've got 7 just to make up a old cross-country service in Virgin Trains to be hauled by a 47. Next we have 10 EWS tankers by Revolution Trains and 6 in VTG red. These are very nice, I quite like these. I got them off a guy on Facebook. The weights do come loose inside them, but overall they're very nice wagons, and I think they're quite hard to find as well. So I was lucky I got so many. Over here is another 350 in Silverlink Desiro livery. This is actually a dummy, non-motorised, and it's meant to be in a set, so it looks like it's being delivered ready for use. So that was quite a nice buy. Got a 411 in BR blue livery. This is quite an old piece of stock. To be honest, it's not what I usually run. It's not even in the region I run, I don't think. But I bought this because I had one in 00 gauge and I really liked the model. So saw one in the model shop and thought, why not? Next we've got a Class 90 by Graham Farish. They come with 2 bodies, one in Freightliner and one in as a custom respray into First Scot Rail. I also have another body which is currently away for respray into Virgin Trains red and black. Next we have a Class 47 by Graham Farish in the old pool type chassis. This gave me a chance to DCC convert something with digi-hats, which I did successfully. Yeah, not much more to say about that. Next we have the Revolution Trains Caledonian Sleeper Class 92. Very nice model, if not a little bit light. The next 18 decoder doesn't stay in particularly well, but we'll see how it runs. We've got Class 86 and a Class 87, one by Graham Farish and one by Dapol. These again I bought from my Virgin stock and will look very nice on the layout. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the Graham Farish one yet, as the Dapol one has directional lighting. It's just a bit better really. Next we've got a 57 in Freightliner livery, again the pool chassis. I bought this to go with some stock I'll show you in a bit. We've got a DB Schenker Class 60, nice easy conversion that was. We've got a London Midland Class 170. This is exactly the same as the old models. Split chassis, no directional lighting, very basic, but I did want one, even if they're a little bit overpriced, so I bought one. We've got some Freightliner heavy haul open wagons. We have 16 of these, so they'll look nice going behind the 70 or the 56. We've got some spines by Freightliner. I've got a few more of these on order, so I think I've got 12 altogether. Yes, I've got another 2 pairs coming. These will look quite nice with the container wagons. And then we have the nuclear flasks by Graham Farish. Hard to find these days, so I did pay the price, but they look good, and it'll be nice going behind the Class 37. We have a full set of Virgin Mark IIIs. These are actually HST coaches, however I will be hauling them with DVT and the 86s and my Class 90 when it gets its Virgin body. The only noticeable difference is that they do not have buffer stops, but other than that, they're very nice coaches. They'll be getting light bars as well. As you can see, they've already had the Hunt couplings, so yeah, that'll look nice. And then finally we have the KFA container wagons by Revolution Trains. I have 9 of these, so they'll look good with these containers, which I bought from Sea Rail. And then look, I think these were sort of used in the 90s, so that'll look good either behind the 57 or the 90. So yeah, quite a haul over the last few months, but it's all in what I want, and I've got plans for all this stock. I've got a very West Coast mainline themed video coming up in the future, which a lot of this will be featured in. So thank you for joining me today. This is just a quick update for the layout for spring. There'll be more to follow soon. The next video will either be a bit of a how-to on how to DCC convert split chassis or pull type Graham Farish old diesels, or it will be continuing with the station. I do want to get a running session in with all this new stock first too, but there's a little bit of work to do on some of the bits. So that'll be the sort of the next few videos. Obviously the big thing will be this corner here after the station, working out what I'm going to do with that, because it might have to be ripped out in order for me to fix the track underneath. So thank you for watching. I'll leave you with a few running shots of some various trains, but obviously there'll be a much bigger running session coming up soon with all the new stock. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.